And you know what I'm talking about. It's like a low, broad cylinder, often seen in ice hockey games, not so often seen in kitchens. Maybe not in your kitchen anyway, but this is Kitchen of the Dan, and as it turns out, pucks are one of our favorite food forms. I'm speaking specifically about the oat puck, which you may remember from the independent coffee shops that at one time were ubiquitous back in the mid-90s. At any rate, I fell in love with oat pucks at that time, and I finally hunted down a recipe to make them myself. They are exactly the energy boost that you need to get through a long afternoon or an arduous task. And they are both easy and fun to make. So join us today as Kitchen of the Dan returns the power of pucks to your hand. I'm happy to report that puck is back on the menu. Excellent, you're back. We begin here at the food processor station with 3 1/2, where are you now? 3 1/2 cups of regular oats. These are the kind that cook in 5 minutes. So don't get your super quick oats. Don't get the steel cut oats. Just for once, try to be regular about it. Mash them into flour. I like to leave a little bit of texture in there. For one thing, we're going to continue to grind it up, and for another, it does make for a slightly more toothsome mouthfeel, if you could say such a thing, which I seem just to have done. Our next step is to grab the spatula and add to this 1/4 cup of peanut butter. Actually, you can use any kind of butter you like. I like nut butters, but you can use regular butter, cashew butter, almond, whatever you like. Here is 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt. Let's get it all in there. And 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, because why not? I'll make sure that everything is clear of the center post there. Return the lid to its appropriate position and pulse until combined. Well, that's not entirely combined, but we're far from being done. So let's just put it on, leave it on, and add 1/2 cup of something milky. I'm going to use oat milk, but you're free to branch out in your own direction. That looks pretty good. We'll take this back over to the big metal table and pick up where we're leaving off now. Ah, nice, you're situated. Here's our dough. I'll remove the blade. This part's not edible. And I'll scoop out everything we got. It's going to be a little bit crumbly in places and a little bit sticky in others, and that's okay because we're going to combine it all. There we are. I like to try to get it all because I'd rather eat it than clean it. Let's take what we've got and kind of spread it out a little bit. Open up the grain a little bit, if you will, because this is where we add our add-ins. If you feel like doing that, which I invariably do, you can use chocolate chips or cranberries or pumpkin seeds or whatever you like. Today we are using candied ginger and candied orange peel. I really do recommend the candied version of both of these things because the non-candied version is so much less fun. But again, you do you. Once you've got the mix-ins of your choice kind of arrayed across the dough, pull it together into a big cylinder. We're looking for something that's maybe 1.5 inches in diameter and maybe, I don't know, 15 to 18 inches long, depending on how tightly you want to firm it up. Once you've got most of it set up, you may even want to use a secondary sill pad or something just for rolling it. Let's gather together the crumbs. You don't want to miss anything here. And some of you may remember how this is done. I was never too good at it, but this is a nice big piece of material that you're working with here, so it's not so hard to do. I'm going to take a few moments and manipulate this into the perfect form, nice and firm, so that it doesn't fall apart when we're cutting it or baking it. And you can catch up with me in just a few moments. This is looking like a pretty good tube of dough. And our next step is to take some of the kitchen floss and cut it into puck-shaped pieces. Let's make sure we can tear off a fresh piece because you always want to use fresh floss because, ew. Here's how it's done. You want about, an inch or so, maybe a little bit less. Make a little, turn the floss against itself and just pull it down. That way you get a nice clean cut that doesn't flatten out your dough. Across, make sure it's evened up, and there you go. There's another one. I'm going to go through this whole stack. Let's see if you can watch it faster than I can do it. There you have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1 even dozen of attractive pucks. Hang tight, there's one more step. See, that didn't take any time at all. I just wanted to melt some butter fresh so that it would be nice and liquidy as I paint each one of these things top and bottom. This time I'm using real butter, and if you don't want to do that, you could use some other kind of oil if you like, but it does help to get a little bit more texture and color on our little oat pucks. I'm going to finish covering these things up and pop them in the oven for 10 minutes on each side at 350 degrees. Why don't you catch up with me when we're finished with that, because that part of the process is sort of less photogenic. Talk to you shortly. They're looking pretty good. After 20 minutes in the oven, I'm going to let them cool completely on a rack to let any residual moisture evaporate away before I wrap them individually so that I can take them everywhere and grab a fistful of puck power anytime I've got a grueling task or something that just is taking more energy than I at the moment have. They are delicious. They are almost sweet, just moist enough, and you can feel good about eating them. Let's face it, people, the future is coming, and it's a short cylinder. What I'm saying is, we're all going to get pucked. With this recipe, that power is in your hands. You're welcome.